Aurangzeb decided, I am going to embark on my last campaign. I am going to take all the forts and establish Mughal rule in western Maharashtra. And as a result, in 1700, at the age of 85, Aurangzeb embarked on his last campaign of his life, which was supposed to be an easy campaign for the Mughals, where they were going to capture all the forts, and since there was a 25-year-old woman at the helm, nothing going to come from the Marathas. He couldn't have been more wrong, because he used to go to one fort, fight, but Maharani Tarabai was herself leading her forces. Many letters sent to these Killedars who were fighting that they were doing a very good job of fighting off the Mughals. Each of these places was fought for a year or so. Eventually, like they had followed the policy earlier on, they would sell that fort to the Mughals for very, very high prices, because Aurangzeb was not hell-bent on taking the forts by anyhow we got them, whether we got them by paying money. So this actually is Aurangzeb's last shopping list. He gave 2 lakh rupees at Vishalgarh, he gave 50,000 for Sinhgarh, he gave 70,000 for other forts. At a point of time where 3 or 4 rupees was the monthly salary for an average soldier, 50,000 was a huge amount for which they could easily raise an army to capture the fort again, which they did. In fact, at Rajgarh, Mughals had managed to capture the outer boundaries of the place, but the Barikil, citadel, which is the main part of the fort, continued to fight 15 days after that. And so slowly but surely, by giving huge amounts of money, he was able to take all these forts, with the exception of Torna. Torna is the only place where Maratha Sardars in Aurangzeb's army managed to put rope ladders, managed to climb up the fort the way Chhatrapati Shivaji's soldiers did, and captured that fort. All other places were purchased by paying huge amounts of money, and so this time period he was laying siege to all the various places and taking them. Aurangzeb was busy capturing these forts, had went north up to Gujarat to a place called Ratnapur, where a large Mughal army faced him, but he managed to inflict a very crushing debacle on him. This defeat of the Mughal army in Gujarat basically wiped out Mughal forces from Gujarat for good, because after this Khanderao Davade fully established himself. This defeat of the Mughals in Gujarat was so severe that it inspired people in Rajputana and Malwa to start rebelling against the Mughal Empire. Finally, Aurangzeb retreated from western Maharashtra and went to a place called Wakinkhera, which is in northern Karnataka, which is about around this place. Marathas and the Kannadiga kings combined together to fight off the Mughal Empire, and Wakinkhera was one such place. So the Berards were essentially marksmen, riflemen. They were joined by Dhanaji Jadhav, and the siege was broken. By the time the siege was going on, it was broken by the Marathas. All these forts which had been taken, all these forts were taken by Aurangzeb were again retaken by Marathas under the leadership of Maharani Tarabai. So by 1705, Aurangzeb was in a position where he had lost almost everything, including what he had won during his last campaign. He retreated to Ahmednagar. At Ahmednagar, he had retreated, he had lost everything that he had won so far in the Deccan. There were rebellions happening in North India. There was no Rajputana with the Mughals anymore. All the Mughal Sardars, which had been second rank, third rank Sardars, had now become very powerful, because they had nothing to do except govern their own province for a very long length of time, and Aurangzeb did not have the military power or the wealth left anymore to fight them. What Aurangzeb did do was, when he had captured all these places, first thing he did was to rename them. As you can see, he has put all kinds of Persian and Arabic names meaning various things, such as Brahmapuri. Brahmapuri was Aurangzeb's camp for about 4 years, which he had dutifully named Islampuri. During these 4 years, he also managed to, his whole army is falling apart, his wealth is getting depleted, all his Sardars are getting defeated. He still found a time to attack the Khandova temple at Jejuri in 1702 and impose jizya tax on whatever controlled territories in South India. So all these places, if he had been in charge of them for any extended length of time, they would have been named as Azim Tara and Islampuri and Rahman Baksh and all this. For example, Sivagarh got Bakshinda Baksh. It was named as gift from God. That is Bakshinda Baksh. But almost immediately after the Marathas had retaken all these forts, they were renamed to what their original names are. So the Mughal Empire was crumbling, and in Ahmednagar his camp was established. At this point, a very interesting event took place. This is Aurangazeb, who had been leading large Mughal armies, 5 lakh strong, about 20 years ago. He found out that Dhanaji Yadav, Nemaji Shinde and a few others were coming to attack his camp at Ahmednagar. And what he did was he took a taweez, he recited Quranic verses and gave it to his commander. You take this, this can help you fight the Marathas. That is all that the Mughal emperor could do in 1706. His camp was attacked, but Dhanaji Yadav, Nemaji Shinde spared the Mughal emperor. Why? Because at this point of time they had become so powerful, they were easily able to reach up to northern Gujarat, up to Malwa, up to Bhopal, that it was more profitable to wait there, wait for treasures and money going from Delhi towards Maharashtra, capture it midway and use it for their own armies, instead of killing that person and getting the whole problem started again. So it had come to a stage where it was more profitable to keep Aurangzeb alive than to see him dead. 1707, this is Maharani Tarabai's statue in Kolhapur. 1707, Aurangzeb died. Nobody was interested in fighting against war in any case. He had 4 sons, all of whom were retreated to Delhi. They had been fighting in various capacities in the war. All of them retreated to Delhi. All these armies which had been fighting in Deccan, they all knew that this is the time a big successor war is going to take place.